In a previous video, we asked the question, how do we grow through Covid-19? And we talked about 5 things: being able to let go, being able to play the long game, being able to receive God's embrace, being able to realize that trouble is normal, turbulence is normal, and that we are having to live with the realization that if COVID can happen, then anything can happen, both for good and for bad. Well, I just want to talk about 5 more things that are worth our attention. And the first one is the development of the capacity to lament. Now, what does it mean to lament? It doesn't mean you just complain. It means that you bring your heart and you break it before God. You involve God in the middle of your complaint. In Pakistan, they have a wonderful way of lamenting. When somebody dies, they put a big tent outside the house, and it usually has no walls on it because it's quite warm. And people just come and sit in front of that tent or under that tent and signal to the people inside the house who've had a bereavement that we are with you, we are lamenting with you, we'll break our hearts with you, even though no words are expressed. It's a beautiful thing. I am lamenting now the loss of a dear friend, a 31-year-old called Caleb Meekins, a brilliant young leader, died in a car accident in Ethiopia. So good was he when I heard about his death. Given the age I am right now, I would have willingly changed places with Caleb because of all of what he was about to contribute to the world. So I'm lamenting him. And this is a time for lament. This is a time to acknowledge our losses and to bring our losses before God. There are losses that we haven't even realized are going to take place yet, that we'll need to engage with in our own emotional lives and in communal lives, because dreams are dying and some more dreams will die before this is over. So we'll need to learn how to lament. The second thing is, don't waste your boredom. Now, if you are a parent of 3 children and you're locked in a house for the next 3 weeks, you're probably not going to be bored, probably not going to be frustrated. But for many people, this is going to be a time of intense boredom, locked in the house, can't get out, unable to do things that you've previously done before, all the stimulations are over. Well, is this good news or bad news? I want to suggest that it's both, because entering into boredom and living boredom well is the entering into the possibility of revelation, of seeing things you've not seen before, of being able to look at things in a fresh new way, of being able to enter into boredom land. And boredom land is usually the place that opens up the possibility of revelation land and creativity land, and you start to discover things that you've never seen before, but you often have to enter into the boredom. And that boredom can be really, really helpful in the long run if we do it well. The third thing is to be able to learn through vulnerability, or to learn from your vulnerability. We're living through a time where everybody is now vulnerable. Everyone, no matter how wealthy you may be or how poor you may be, we're all living through this vulnerability. And this place is a good place. Many years ago, when I joined an organization that was focused on helping India, I joined a team of young Indian church leaders. And they were doing various things in the city in India. I joined them, this tall white guy from England. When I finished a long journey to get to them, I put my bag down in front of this team, said hello to everybody. And because I'd been sitting down such a long time, I wanted to go for a walk. So I went for a walk. And when I came back out of my walk, these guys had opened up both of my cases, and they were distributing my clothes around the room. And when I saw this happen, I was really angry, but I tried to suppress it in a nice sort of English way. And I said to them, "What are you doing?" And the leader of the group, a guy called Resham, who was from Nepal, he said, "Viv, we're just getting to know you. We're just getting to know you." And I said, "Well, in England, we have ways in which this happens." But he wasn't interested in my sophisticated answer. And they were saying to me, "If we're going to live together for a while, you will need to enter into your vulnerability. You will need to enter into the fact that we will know more about you than you've ever been willing to, or maybe ever will be willing to acknowledge." And this is a time of vulnerability, and it's a time that can be really helpful for us in understanding ourselves and in what God's doing in the world and what God's doing in our hearts. Number 4, I think we'll need to put the cross and resurrection at the center of everything. The cross and resurrection of Jesus at the center of everything. I think it was Thomas Aquinas who said, "Hold up the cross of Jesus and let your illusions die." I love that. Hold up the cross of Jesus and let your illusions die. We will have to live through a period where we understand afresh what it means to put the cross of Jesus at the center of our lives. And also the resurrection, because the cross is the springboard to the resurrection. And the resurrection opens up the potential of life as we've never known it before. And then finally, we'll need to keep in step with the Spirit. We'll need to walk with the Spirit through prayer and some of the Christian disciplines. We'll need to learn to dance in a fresh way as we pay attention to what God's Spirit is saying to us. And that may be something that would be very surprising as new doors and new possibilities start to open up. And it's through prayer and attention to the voice of the Spirit that opportunities, fresh opportunities, start to burst out. And indeed, those opportunities have already started to do that I think in many people's lives. And then finally, to wrap all this up, both videos, we will need to love our way out of this. What will need to surface in our hearts and lives in these days ahead is an avalanche or a tsunami or whatever image you like of God's love will need to surface in our hearts so we'll be able to respond from an adequate place that touches the world, builds up our own lives, and strengthens us in ways we've never been strengthened before. So, amen.